You all are already warmed up, so thanks. Which way? If you would, just share with me a moment of prayer to continue this prayer. O holy God, we turn and return in remembrance of your presence, ever present by your grace. Though our attention to you comes and goes, be to our hearts our deepest desires. Be to our minds our fullest expression. Be to our wills our truest aim, as we open ourselves to receiving and sharing the gift of your grace. Blessed be the tie that binds our hearts in the fellowship of Christian love. Amen. All right. So through my years of religious practice and exploration and experience, I've come to the understanding that prayer at its heart is not about the words that we use or the thoughts that we have necessarily, but prayer engages the deeper parts of ourselves at the core of who we are, at the center of our being itself as human beings, in relationship with the sacred source of all being. And so I've come to understand prayer in terms of postures of being. Like prayer is about moving into certain postures of our being that can help us to be in relation with the divine through the depths of our whole selves. And if this sounds abstract, bear with me, we'll make it very concrete very soon. So by postures of being that help us to be in relationship with the divine, I'm meaning things like the shape that our beings, our sense of self take when we are absorbed in experiences like gratitude. Like when we're just completely absorbed in a feeling of gratitude. What's our being itself? What shape is it in? Or experiences of awe, or of reverence, or of loving embrace, or of trusting surrender, or of deep yearning, deep need of ultimate dependence, or of dawning insight, the ahas of our lives, and so on. So these are the kinds of experiences that lead us into these deeper, what I'm calling postures of being in relationship with the divine. And words can express some of these deeper soul movements. I just used some words that hopefully communicated something. But if we just focus on words, this can get us stuck, especially in our prayer lives. Because prayer is about the parts of ourselves that are deeper than words and thoughts. You know, and some people can struggle to even pray because I don't know the right words to say. Or I feel like I can't be as eloquent as the King James Bible. But the good news is that human beings, for generations and generations and throughout cultures, have found many powerful methods of prayer that can bring us into what I'm calling postures of being deeper than words, that can express and open us to gratitude before God and awe and reverence and rejoicing and so on. Yearning. Music. Certainly music is a deep part of our soul lives. Singing, or rhythm, melody, harmony, chanting, our breath work. These are technologies, you can even say, of prayer. And today, and beyond, I want to honor, as Chris has helped us to honor, our bodies themselves as instruments for prayer. The postures and the movements of our bodies themselves can bring us into these deeper postures of being that can open ourselves to prayerful experiences. So to make it really concrete, a brief story about this in my life. The day after our daughter was born, more than 10 years ago now, we were in a clinic in a hospital, and of course, and we got to stay a couple of days, which didn't feel like enough, but And so the day after, she was born just pretty much as the sun was dawning. And sometime during that day, I realized that I'm pretty sure it was the car seat. I had forgotten to bring the car seat along as we rushed. And I should have fact-checked this with Rachel, actually. I don't remember what it is that I forgot to this day, but I'll tell you what I do remember. So I had to run home and get, I think it was the car seat, pretty important thing. And when I got home, it was the first moment that I had to just take in what on earth just happened. And I just felt a magnetic pull towards I have an altar space where I do my prayer and meditation. And I just was like a tractor beam to this sacred space. And I just fell to my knees. And I just said, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I bowed down, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It was, one of these powerful prayer experiences where I felt the living presence of the living God, the source of all. I was grateful to particular people, but the gratitude extended out, and I felt myself deeply in the presence of the holy, which was completely astonishing. And to this day, all I need to do is assume this posture, and it helps me to return to that experience of the holy and experience of gratitude. It helps me to if there are tears that need to come up, it helps those tears to come up. And so to this day, this is one of my postures for prayer. And so it's pretty remarkable that it's taken this long for me to share this with you all, right? So for better and for worse, most of us here inherit our European American Protestant tradition with its blessings and its challenges. And at least in my experience, honoring the body as an instrument of prayer was not part of my religious upbringing. And instead, there was a lot of focus on the intellectual and the ethical realms, which are important, right? They're important. The realm of words, the realm of virtues. But that's not the full scope of the human experience, especially in relation with our Creator. And I have come to know in my personal exploration of spirituality and religion just how important it is to honor the body. So we are embodied beings, after all. As lovely and as agonizing as that can be, as human beings, we are embodied souls and ensouled bodies. And this is a phrase, in fact, I mean, it's peculiar that our European American Protestant tradition can be so disembodied, because this phrase itself, embodied souls and ensouled bodies, is from Karl Barth, who is a great theologian, a German theologian of neo-orthodoxy. Like this is not a heretical notion. This is a deeply orthodox, and he was writing about the implications of the incarnation, through Christ, God in the flesh, the in-the-fleshment of God. Something essentially true about the holy reality in relationship with the human. And so it's not accurate or healthy to act like the spiritual realm is something entirely different and separate and better than the physical realm. That, the soul is good and the body's bad. And the goal of prayer and spiritual practice is to somehow kick off these dirty skin bags and evaporate into pure light, right? And I tried to do that for a while, and it just wasn't very helpful. How's that working out for you, buddy? But this kind of, there's a kind of harsh and judgmental dualism between soul and body, the spiritual and the material. And it's made its way into a lot of Christian understanding, especially in our European American traditions, for various reasons. But if that's not from Jesus' Jewish roots, certainly not. I don't know if you've ever seen Jews pray, but it is. It has more to do with Greek philosophy and the European Enlightenment, and I'm not going to get into all that right now. I will, but what I'm saying is that this doesn't need to be our understanding or our practice. If your experience is an embodied, incarnate spirituality, something happens when you follow along with Chris's lead, we need to honor that. And especially for those of us who have been shaped by this dualism, it can be very powerful and very healing to learn to pray as embodied beings, as ensouled bodies, and to honor our embodiment, and to let our bodies to be sanctified as sacred instruments for prayer. And so for me personally, learning to pray with my body is the bread and butter of my daily prayer life. And it helps me to get out of this jibber-jabber mind, which you all know something about, and to drop into the depths of my being, and to unlock cleansing tears if cleansing tears need to happen, to sometimes inspiration, insight can come. Sometimes peace and serenity can come. Sometimes an astonishing sense of the nearness of God. Sometimes anger and defiance and crying out. Sometimes just a glimpse into the grandeur of this infinite and intimate spirit that's with us. So yesterday, as Chris shared, we had a workshop in embodied prayer, and there was a number of you were here, and there were folks who weren't part of our church who were here as well. There were 25 folks, and we cleared out these pews. Move, thank God, and we cleared out the center here and had a nice circle of chairs, and folks are invited to be on the floor if they need to be on the floor, or to stay in their chair and to stand. And we were cooking. It was great. And I co-facilitated this with Katie Hawkins, who's a Quaker somatics teacher who gets into the embodied roots of Quakerism. Those of you who may have experienced Quaker worship, it's very quiet and still. But they're called Quakers for a reason, because that original inbreaking of the Spirit It was an ecstatic, embodied expression. And if you weren't there and you would love to explore this more, it was clear that folks wanted more of this, so this is the beginning of something more. And we can start to have some more sacred experiments here in this worship time around honoring our bodies as instruments for prayer. And so it's just simple. It can be very simple and not difficult. And I invite us to just enjoy the feeling of putting our hands on our hearts, as Chris led us, and to take some prayerful moments and to just receive the connection that this can establish with God and with our souls. And then as you feel moved, allow your hands to open out in a posture of openness. And if your mind is needing something to do, you can simply give it the word holy. Holy, holy, holy. Holy,